Everyone, welcome back to Jaysa. As I have been dropping in our videos previously, we are going to be doing an awareness month panel discussion. Okay, so each month, pretty much in the entire year, I have a focus, but obviously February is for Black History. What better way to kick it off, right? So I have two amazing panelists that you have seen in our past SheEOs, but I'll obviously let them introduce themselves. So, hey guys, let's do this.
You can go
Hello,
first, Simone.
hello. I'm Simone. I'm Simone.
And I am Shawna Moore. Was on a couple months ago, but I'm glad to be back.
Woohoo! I am so excited. Obviously, thank you guys again for doing this and really jumping into the new topic. So, with this topic, there are so many things that we can kind of start with, but I was thinking, I really want to get your idea or really kind of play the field. What would you say is one of your experiences where you realized that you were Black?
Well, it goes with what you're saying, but I'm biracial. So I grew up in the hood, but I lived with my white parent. So I was always kind of dealing with the backlash of being like the only Black girl in the neighborhood with white parents, and the white parents were kind of just they weren't Black enough, I guess. So as a child, dealing with being biracial was actually very difficult. And growing up, I've heard so much about the things that go on with Black women. And I resonate with that. But at the same time, I feel like because I was biracial, mine was a little bit different because I experienced racism from Black people and from white people. So I was too dark to hang out with white people, and I was too light to hang out with dark-skinned people. So it was like I was in the middle of not being Black enough, but not being white enough. So I dealt with that. I dealt with going, I grew up in a solely white kind of city. I grew up in Daytona. And at that time, it was more so white people came out during the daytime and Black people turned up at nighttime. But I was a child, so I was always out during the daytime with my parents, which were white. And the one situation that always it sits uneasy with me is I was having breakfast with my granddad, and we were at this white restaurant. And I was cleaning off the table. We had finished eating. I was cleaning off the table, and the waitress came back and she was like, "Are you ready to pay?" So my granddad was like, "Well, can we get our receipt?" And she was like, "I already gave it to you." So I started rummaging through the bag or through the trash that I had accumulated. And I was like, "Oh, I think I found it." And she looked at me and she was like, "Of course you people would do that." So I was a child. I was maybe like 8 or 9 years old. So I couldn't understand what she meant by that. But because I grew up, or because I had white parents, I experienced a lot of how white people are behind the scenes, and the maliceness that comes with seeing how some people really feel about Black people. Yeah, it was deep. It was deep.
You can't start like that. Okay, wait a minute. That was heavy. Nick, you want to go?
I told you I was excited.
And see, I think that was on the other side because me and my sister have the same mother. We have different fathers, but I'm the lighter of the two. So I would always get, "Well, what are you mixed with?" I'm not mixed with anything. Both my parents are Black. I'm Black. Yeah. Why you and your sister look so different? We don't look different. We just have different skin complexions. But again, I was raised in Southern California, so it was kind of hood there too. But it was majority either Black or Hispanic. So I didn't really get a taste of being Black then. When I moved to Georgia is when I experienced it. And even in the times that we're living in now, it's so prevalent in Georgia. It's amazing. But by that time, I was grown enough to realize what it is. Right. So I just take it with a grain of salt and keep it moving, because I love my Blackness, all of it.
I know that's right. And I think it's so interesting that you say that because when I moved to Georgia, I was so fascinated with the careers that I seen Black people have, because in Daytona, most of the time the Black people were working at the fast food restaurants, they were the baggers, they were working at the clothing stores. But when I moved to Georgia and I seen that there were Black judges and there were Black lawyers and Black police officers, because when I was growing up, I didn't see any Black police officers. So seeing how many Black people are just above what I saw as a child, it just amazed me. And I was 19 when I moved here. I was just in awe. Like, I couldn't believe it, even on TV. But, you know, we always know that TV is fake. So seeing it in person, it amazed me. It absolutely amazed me. Black people crazy, but it amazed me, you know?
That would be me. I'm one of the craziest.
Me too.
I love that. And that's funny that you mentioned that, Auntie, because I was in the same boat. Until I moved here, I didn't know about my hair. I didn't know I was Black. I was just cool with being, I guess, minority in the sense of living in California. But as soon as I moved here, I didn't know, I guess, more so the beauty of it. I didn't experience anything racially until I married Tony. And which is my husband's white. So, you know, it's one of those completely different experiences, but learning about the beauty of my Blackness by, like you said, Simone, seeing the different people and the different versions of us was so experience. It was an amazing experience.
It was, yes.
So with that being said, we got to kind of take a turn on it. What do you guys think about slave mentality, right? So what I mean by that is, we know during slavery, there were things that we had to kind of take on. We had no choice on what we ate and how we acted and how we kind of got our story out. Nowadays, we are not only aware of the different things that we have carried through the generations, but we also have different ways that we can get around it. What do you guys think about that and how to kind of change it within your own families?
When I was actually thinking about the slave mentality, and the thing that popped out was materialistic, right? Because most of the time and I hate to say it, but the media makes it so focused that Black people always focus on the hair, the nails, the eyelashes, and everything. And that was one of the topics that I was talking to myself about before I actually joined. And it was so I grew up poor. Okay, I didn't have a lot. And so when you're a poor kid and you see kids who have money, they always have the newest clothes and newest shoes and everything like that. So I don't have that mindset anymore, but I'm thinking that maybe when poor kids grow up, they grow up saying that people or families who have money always have the newest things, but they always see the outer appearance, right? They always see the clothes and the shoes, and that's what they focus on. They don't focus on, okay, well, what kind of neighborhood do they stay in? You know, what kind of benefits do they have to offer? They don't think about all of that other stuff. They're always looking at the outer appearance. So as we grow up into adults, we feel like if we have the newest shoes and if we have the newest clothes, then maybe that makes us rich, right? That makes our outer appearance rich. But because we have that mentality of the materialistic things make us rich, the actual things that make us rich, you know, enjoying life, not surviving life, because that's also a mentality that we have developed, is we have to survive life. And because we've had to survive life for so long, we don't know how to live life, you know, and we don't know how to enjoy life. And we don't know how to go out here and find these things that are interesting to us. Like, for example, if there's a little boy who all he knew how to do was slang drugs, and he grows up to be a drug dealer, a successful drug dealer, tell him to go to a pottery class and get into art, you know, or get into planning. He's going to look at you like he's crazy, because that's not what he does. That's not what he knows. He knows how to survive, not sit around and play with his hands, right? So we have, at least when I was younger, it was about how to survive. It wasn't about how to live. So now that I know the difference between how to survive and how to live, that's something that I'm focusing on with my kids. Try all these things that you want to try. Figure out what makes you you. What things do you like? And if you don't like it, you don't have to like it. You shouldn't be forced to do something like a hobby or a sport that you really don't want to do. You know, so those are also things as a parent that I'm working on really hard, is not trying to force things on my kids, because we become adults. The way we adult is out of circumstance, if that makes sense. I am who I am as a mom because I have kids, or I'm a mom because I have kids. I'm a wife because I'm married. I am who I am because of the responsibilities and the tasks that I have. But aside from being a wife and being a mom and being a teacher and being a cook and being a chef, I'm still a woman. And I'm still human, and I still have things and hobbies, and I want to enjoy my life just like the next person should. So yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm a talker. I like to talk, and when I get the ball rolling, it's kind of hard for me to stop. So sometimes you just don't have to cut me off. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I love it. What you got, Auntie? What you thinking?
My thought with that is a little different. I think that, again, like you said, the slave mentality, back in the day, I wasn't there, but it was about survival. Like we got the scraps of the food. And I think about that when we talk about how we eat. Some people look down on it, but if you think about it, back then they were just trying to survive. They didn't have the best of food. So they made the chitlins. I don't eat chitlins, but they made chitlins. They made the hog maw because they had to survive. Now bringing that kind of into what Simone was saying, raising kids, I don't want them to think like that. I want them to survive. I want them to prosper, but I don't want them to do it based off of I have to survive, like the drugs. I have to sell drugs because that's what I know. Well, why don't we teach you something else?
Right. You know what I mean? Exactly. Yes.
Like a lot of people that I know in Georgia, when I moved here, had never been out of the state of Georgia, which I found that to be so scary, sad, just concerning, because you have 3 or 4 states right here. You don't want to do better. Let me rephrase that. Not do better. Don't want to do something else. You don't want to see what else is out there. Why don't you not sell the drugs and, like you said, take a pottery class? Why don't you not sell drugs and sell jewelry or something else? Do something else, because there are other things out there that you can do other than just surviving. We want to live.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
That is a good point. And fun fact, Tony is the same way. He hasn't gotten out of the state of Georgia. And the reason I think it's interesting is because I think it's Georgia. So a lot of people I've talked to, no, seriously, I think it's Georgia, because a lot of people I've talked to from Georgia have no desire to leave. And maybe
it's live outside of Georgia, but just go for the weekend.
Right. No. They have no desire. And I wonder if it's just because when you're here for so long, you feel like you have everything you need, right? So most of the people that are here kind of built what they have, basically. It may have started from the bottom, and just everything that they've accumulated over the years. Why leave? Right. I don't need to go experience something different. And I think that too plays into that slave mentality.
Yeah, how do you know you have all you need if you don't know what else is out there?
Exactly. And I think that again goes into, okay, so now I'm going to take a little drastic, right? So during slave times, right, the biggest goal at that time was for a slave to be freed in order to get the land, right? So I think that the people that have lived here for so long, they got that land, they got the opportunity to kind of prosper and build their own, and they don't want to lose it. Or they think that when they go somewhere else, that they have to start over, kind of build a relationship with the people in that area. And it's just, I think it's more so scary for them to step out on doing something different than being comfortable with the level of racism here, the level of, I guess, progression that they have here, even if they're in their poverty state, being just comfortable with all the work that they've done instead of having to start over and not know what's on the other side. That's my theory on it. But I think
with that, you don't have to necessarily start over. You can add to. So if you have your land in Georgia, why not think bigger and say, let me get some land in, I don't know, wherever else you think about. You know what I mean? Open up the book, see what the other states look like. There are some states I have no desire to travel to. There are some states I do want to travel to. Let's broaden that out to countries. What other countries do you want to own land in? There's so many other options, and unless they take that step to think about it, You'll never take that step to actually do it.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think that too is something else that I think ties into this topic, right? So something I've come across a lot on the social platforms with my generation is constantly connecting us to the experiences of our ancestors, right? I think that after a certain period of time, or our generationals, like like our great grandmother, I didn't hear about slave stories. I didn't grow up knowing anything. I don't know any connection. I don't have any ties. For all I know, I could have been here free. My family line could have been here free. We just don't know. But I think that as people in this nation, we hold on to it in such a negative way. Like, oh, well, we were drowned. I was not drowned. You were not drowned. Your grandmother was not drowned. So I think that it is important to take the lessons out of those experiences, out of those moments in history, but not drag it through our lives in a way that makes it seem like that is our trauma, that is something that we personally held on to. And I think it's a depleting mentality, because you're constantly trying to find a way to hate the other side, or to have some animosity towards a history that you personally, your grandmother personally did not experience. I think that it's important to talk about more current events. Your grandmother may have experienced Jim Crow. Talk about that. Let's address that, because that is still going on. But I think that something that really kills our progression in this nation is holding on to things that we can't change. It's done. It happened. You don't need to hold on to it in such a negative way. And obviously, this is my opinion. This is my perspective on it. But it is something that I constantly see with people my age, thinking that they have such a great voice, when really it's so negative. It's not doing anything, and it's not followed with some type of, I don't know, progressive mindset. It's just negative. What do you think? What am I tripping?
No, I'm gonna say it was something that Brooklyn, my youngest daughter, of course, it's Black History Month, so they're teaching about Black people. Learned it. She told me about school yesterday. She said that she learned, or they were teaching about Rosa Parks. I said, okay, well, what did they teach about her? That she was told to get out of her seat and she went to jail. Now, I get what you're saying, but to me, there is a point in the lesson. That's all you taught about this woman? There was so much more to it. Now, I'm not saying drag all the negative stuff, but let's say we bake a cake. You see the product, which is the cake, but you need to know what you went through to get to the cake. Right. It's not just about the cake. It's about the steps that we took to get there. I think we need to teach about the positive and somewhat the negative, because that's a part of the story. I don't say you drown yourself in it and just wallow in it, but you need to know more than she sat on refused to give up her seat and then she went to jail. There's more to it than that. I mean, there's good and bad. And I think nowadays they do, I'm not going to say people, especially the school system, want to just get over it. I wasn't there either. And your great grandmother is my grandmother. Grandma wasn't a slave. She was in the city in Ohio. And now, did she experience racism? Of course. Right. But she wasn't a slave. And my grandmother wasn't a slave. And my great grandmother wasn't a slave. But they experienced things. And like you said, teach the things that we experienced, because we didn't experience getting drowned on a boat. Now, that may be somebody else's experience way back. And it's a part of our heritage and our history. But there's other things too. So let's not focus on the slave ships as much as last week when the lady overlooked me at the store, because you know what I mean? So I think there's a point in the entire lesson, but you shouldn't cut out any part of it, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm sorry, Simone.
Well, I do agree with both of you. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying to work on this whole, they had like the little videos where they be like, you be on a Zoom call, you be up here, but my camera kind of angled and I only got up here taken care of.
Yeah, you're fine.
But I am one of those people who I definitely get triggered by those stories. I get triggered by media stories of wrongful deaths. I definitely get triggered. And I get triggered because we know that we need to do better. And because we know we need to do better, we can do better and we should do better, but we still find ourselves not. And when it comes to Black history, I feel like there is so many people out here putting out false stories. And because we ourselves, me including, don't actually do our research to see how the story originated, we take people's false doctrines or whatever, and we run with that story without doing the research ourselves. And then we'll get up here and we'll have a platform and we'll be like, my ancestor, but you don't even know anything. You don't know anything about our history. You don't know anything about your history, but you're standing up here. You're like what you were saying, Jaysa, you're being negative, you're being provocative, and you're saying my ancestor did this, so I can do this. No, that's missing the whole point. There is a beginning. There was a reason why our ancestors went through all of that stuff. And there was this story that I share on my page every year because it broke my heart, but it also gave me encouragement and motivation. And it was talking about, I don't know his name, so I'm not going to pretend that I do, but he put his stuff in a box, or the image showed that he was in a box and he put himself in there some kind of way. He had help and to get on the ship to try to be free. And it was talking about the steps that he had to go through to try to be free, while we're sitting up here having all of these opportunities, all of these things to make us better as a people. But because we feel like if we just get on here and we show our breasts and we show our butt, that we're making our ancestors happy. So when it does come down to Black History Month, it's difficult for me because I am one of those people who don't fully believe in Black history is just 1 month, because Black history is every day. The topics definitely trigger me because I know we can do better. And if you have 500,000 people out of trillions of people, you can put in that work, but it'll just seem like there's no point to it because you're by yourself trying to change your people, trying to help change your people for the better. But we always look for the easy way out because we're human and we just don't want to put in the work these days. So I don't even know if that answered your question, Jaysa. My mind was just like running and my mouth was like, let's put it out there. So,
no, you're good. I'm not gonna lie. I forgot my question, so it's cool. But no, it's no, and I think it was touched on. I like the different perspectives because that is important. The same thing you said, Auntie, with just Rosa Parks as an example. I didn't know Rosa Parks was down with Malcolm X. Did y'all know that?
They teach that in school. Talking to me about school, and I did this 2 years ago when they were starting to pick people. They picked the same people: Kobe Bryant, Rosa Parks. Why teach them about people that everybody else don't know about? Let's find another person's name that we can talk about. Or our current people. Why not talk about the not spotlighted people, current time? A lot of people, Black people that you can teach about instead of it being the same ones. Didn't we even talk about them when I was in school? I ain't that old. Change the narrative.
Yes. I just did the Black History video. That's why I did it, because I'm tired of talking about Martin Luther King. Great guy. Love. I probably know more about Martin Luther King than anybody else does. And then going into being a teacher, I'm like, okay, why is the project set to be on 3 different people? Jackie Robinson, great, got it. It was Henry Box Brown. That's his name. Henry Box Brown. And
that's it.
That's a great story too. But again, kids don't even know the details of the same 3 people because, again, like you said, Simone, it's getting lazy. Nobody wants to put in the work to at least teach them something outside of just the basics. Rosa Parks really was more militia type. She wasn't just sitting on the seat because she was tired. No, she had been
tired that day, but it was more to it.
The story behind that is she had been marching. She had been fighting for rights within her community for so long. So yeah, that day she might have been tired, but it wasn't just, oh, I'm deciding to sit down.
Right.
Blanket stories. With that being said, when we think about our kids, right? Like you pointed out, Simone, you're biracial. My son is triracial at this point.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
He's everything. how do you teach your kids about their Blackness specifically? Because like we know in this nation, there's only two. There's only two sides. Either you're of color or you're white. So how do you teach your kids specifically on their Blackness?
Honestly, when it comes up, we talk about it. We're completely honest. I've had my daughters came to me and she's asked me how come her hair wasn't straight, like the other little girls that were in school. She has, puffy, coarse hair. And so we talked about it. And I feel like when the topic arises is when it's important to discuss it. This is, don't let me forget, okay, we talked about kids and Blackness. But my daughter was 10 years old. She was 10 years old. And she came to me and she asked me about sex and about babies. I was not prepared to have that conversation with her. I was not ready. I know it was something that was going to come. And it wasn't like this is gross, I don't want to talk about it. It wasn't that. It was just like, I don't think you're ready for this kind of conversation because she's still in a child's place. Yeah. And I asked her where that question came from and why she wanted to know. And she told me that her friends at the lunch table were talking about it. So, yeah. So, and at that time, it put me when I was a child. If I would have did that to my parents, they'd been like, I might have got slapped. They would have told me to leave, cuss me out or something. But at that time, I realized that this is something that my daughter is curious about. She needs to know because her friends are telling her and she's asking me because she knows I'll tell her the truth. So instead of me throwing her off and saying, wait a couple more years or wait until I feel like you're mature enough. No, let's talk about it. We're going to openly discuss it. We're not putting the provocative words on it. We're putting the correct terminology with it. So, So I'm saying that to say that when my kids do come to me about things or about, children who might say something or somebody who says something about their complexion or their hair, we go ahead and we address it and we talk about it openly. We talk about the negative that comes with the positive. We talk about why is it triggering me? We talk about the solutions. But I can't necessarily just give like a strategy because like I was telling you in our last video, I treat all my kids according to how their personality is. So I have to align with that child and what kind of question they're coming to me with and how I feel like I can talk to them so they're able to receive what I say.
I like that. And that definitely makes sense. And it's something like you said, we talked about in the last video, just the importance of understanding what they need. So Auntie, when it comes to Brooklyn, like you pointed out, my mom is me. We are much darker. So has Brooklyn ever wondered, or even Alana when she was younger, wondered why she looks different or how we are all different colors within our family? Has that conversation come up?
It did later on in life. Like she's only 10, but towards the last maybe 4 or 5 years, I would say. In the beginning, I don't think I'm not gonna say she didn't notice it, but she didn't ask questions about it. I think as she got older and as kids get older, they may hear stuff to their parents say, like, we don't really talk about complexions in our home because we're all over the place with it. So they don't even talk about it. But I think if she heard that at school, maybe that's what sparked up the thing. Or like her hair is, like you said, Simone, coarse. My oldest daughter has a curlier coil of hair. It's completely different hair textures. Mine is in the middle. So she'll say, why can't I wear my hair like whomever whose hair texture is completely different? So I have to tell her, your hair is a different texture. I never say bad hair, good hair, because I love her hair, but every style isn't for every hair texture. So what fits you is fitting you. And we're not going to do the hairstyle that little Sally has because you don't have Sally's hair.
Yeah. And I think it's actually really funny. So in a video I just did, I'm in counseling culturally diverse people course right now. And my professor had us take a test. It's some test that they offer people and to kind of get your biases, for lack of a better term. And the one that I chose to do was skin complexion. So the test, it's about 3 sections, about maybe 10 questions each section. And what it did was it started off by having you separate light skin and dark skin people. And it literally light skin, dark skin, and had pictures of just their like eyes so you can see the color and had you separate them. So I'm clicking through. I'm like, oh, okay. And there was one picture that I'm like, the flash is a little bright, but they classified it as light skin. So I'm doing this, and in the last section, it had me now use good and bad with light skin and dark skin, right? And it had me do the same thing. So words like joyful, and then it threw back in the colors of the people, and I'm separating them. So at the end, the results are, oh, you favor light skinned people. And I'm just like,
oh, wow.
I'm like, well, right? I was like, well, where did you get that? But the trick was, right? So if I decided to say, no, I think this is more of a good term, or I want to put all the dark skinned people and light skinned people in the good side, it would say it's wrong. And it wouldn't let you move forward until you did that. So here I am, right? And it was a test. It was an actual test with actual results. And I'm sitting here like, wow, okay. So the professor's asking, what is our opinion? I'm like, that was the most conditioning test I've ever done. So I think about it now, right? We have these different platforms that are targeting division. And you think, okay, when you're watching a commercial with someone that is lighter, you have the pretty bright colors, you have the words that accentuate those features, and it automatically conditions you to think, oh, that's the way to go. The straight, the looser curls, the just beautiful features is better than the other. When in reality, we're the same person. We both have high cheekbones. We both have curly hair. It can go straight. My hair can go just as straight as someone with looser curls. It just may take a little bit more work. But in reality, in reality, for someone on the inside within the Black community, we know. But it is funny to me that came up. I'm like, wow. For someone that isn't in the Black community, like other people in my class, they're thinking we just don't like each other, or that it's something that is really associated with one or the other, when it's not. That's just how it's been conditioned over time. And we have conversations like this, or we have to tell our kids, like, regardless of what shade you are amazing. You are valuable, and it's so horrible. When I took that test, I was like, oh no, they done told me something. I done skipped questions, so I had to avoid separating it. And it was, anyway, I'm like, man, I was so upset. Okay, so with this new woman in the world, right? So there's so many things we could touch on with just being Black. And I think the more modern topics are super important nowadays. And I know I've asked so many people this question, but I am curious because of Black history. The Black woman, right? So I watched a video recently with all of the older female rappers like Queen Latifah, MC Light. I think they threw Brandy in there. I don't know why, but they threw a group of women from the old times to
they did a song together.
Yeah, I was like, okay, right. And the caption was like, women back in the day didn't need to have their bodies out in order to get attention or be seen as good at their skill. And then they compared it to obviously the Nicki Minaj's, the Cardi B's, the Megan Stallions, and things of that nature. How do you, or where do you stand, right? So with the current image of women, it's labeled as body positivity and, embracing your true being and just, doing you. Where do you stand on that? Do you think it's necessary? Do you think it's something that we're doing to, again, survive? Or what, I guess, what is your mindset?
I'm definitely go ahead and go, Auntie. Go ahead.
I definitely don't think it's necessary. And it's funny because my best friend and I, he's a guy, we're talking about this recently. He's in the entertainment club atmosphere. So, and he's older, he's my age. And a lot of the girls that work with him have had like the BBLs and all that. And they call him uncle because he's a little bit older than them. But he has conversations, real conversations. So, you're doing this because you want to drum up the business and get the money with the bottles and, the customers. But what's going to happen in 10 years? What you going to do then? Because it's a short fix for something.
Yeah.
When you hit 40, your booty don't look like that. It doesn't. I don't care. If it does, it doesn't match the rest of your body.
Yeah.
So, but the thing I asked him was, well, why do men promote that? You know what I mean? Like, if men would say, I'm not feeling that, versus, ooh, girl, look at them, blah, 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 blah. That's why I've been doing it, because it's attracting men. Women want to attract men. Some men are, I think I'm attractive without all that, but there are some men that are attracted to women that don't have that. But the majority are looking at the BBLs and looking at the big boobs and looking at all the other stuff. If you don't like it, or if that's not something that you want on your woman, don't gravitate towards it. Like, that part I didn't understand, and I pushed back on him, and he's not one that does that, but there are several men that do that, but they don't want that long term, which I didn't understand that. So you want it for a quick fix and a hot night, but would you take that home to your mama?
I would knocking over stuff.
And after you have a kid, it doesn't, it's not long term at all. But back when I was growing up, we didn't have, like, well, Salt and Pepper, they wore the leotard, but they had the baggy clothes over it. So we weren't as much enticed by the tight clothes and the exposing of the body parts. I think it's just a time frame and a stage that we're going through where that's what it is. It's unfortunate, because I don't think women need to do that. I look at, like, and I probably don't know all their names, but Ari and there's a couple of, they all look the same to me. No, Fletcher, her last name, Moneybag Yo's girlfriend.
The one, her. Okay, yeah, they do.
The same. They all got the same wig, the same lashes, the same booty. I can't tell one from the other. One of them got her hair cut short, so I kind of know her now. But y'all all look the same. What do you look like? What? Let's take all that off. What do you look like at that point? And some of them, I'm sure, are beautiful, like Meg Thee Stallion. She's a pretty woman. I don't think she does all the extra, but even the makeup, we don't need that all the time. Some women do. Say that. But not every woman needs this. Get your beauty together without all the extra layers. Because when you go to sleep at night, if you find a husband or a serious mate, you're going to go to sleep without that, and you're going to wake up without that. So what are they looking at that point?
Yeah, if that ain't the truth. It was funny. Me and Tony were talking to Marlis's goddad, and someone he was talking to at the time had made a joke, or he had made a joke about her because he had never seen her without makeup. And they woke up, he was like, whoa. He didn't know what he was looking at. But it's bad, because that is like the catfish culture. I like my makeup, but I don't like it all the time, because and I appreciate that. But it's definitely something that you kind of get into. And I definitely can say, when I was in college, I didn't leave my dorm without my face on. And it got to the point where your skin starts to take a toll underneath. It's not, if you're not taking care of it, or you don't give yourself a break, that alone, with people wearing these lace fronts, with the lashes, what they don't talk about is how, if you're not cleaning your lashes, your eye is infected. There are so many things that go into trying to keep up with this beauty standard. It's not worth it. And then again, if you're doing it for someone that is thinking that is what they want, meaning men being attracted to it, I've come across videos nowadays where men are talking about how it's more of a fantasy. Wanting those women is a fantasy, when in reality, like you pointed out, they're not bringing that home. I don't look like that. I don't, and I'm okay with that. You know, right. I lost everything when that baby came out. But it is something that we see, and as women, we're very, very incorrigible, and we can't help but be swayed by social media nowadays, because that is our only way to really know what the world expects of us, instead of standing on our own and being okay in our own body, our own design. This is what we have. Why not love on that, instead of trying to inject and pin up, and just it looks weird. But that's my opinion. What you think, Simone?
I think that I agree with both of you. I'm embarrassed, you know, as like what the women and what is being portrayed. It is definitely an embarrassment, because you do have women who keep themselves covered up, and we don't want that kind of attention of being called, you know, all of those offensive words. But because there are women out there who are saying, yeah, you can call me that. Men, I'm trying to work on my words. I'm trying to say it the right way.
Oh, please, girl.
Men are wonderful and they're providers and they're leaders, but a lot of the time they're not thinking here, right? They're thinking here. So with that being said, because when they were thinking with that, and they were saying all of these things, and all of these women were like, yeah, that's me, what you want. Now they feel like, okay, well, this is how women want to be treated. Men aren't actually out here like, let me see, how should I treat women and all this other stuff. They're looking at us and saying, oh, you want to be treated like that? Okay, I can treat you like that. And I had a conversation a while ago about how, and I hate to use this term, but I think they were called hookers, like in the Western movies and stuff like that. And even they were clothed. They had their bosom stuck out, but everything down until they got in the bedroom was, at least what they portrayed on TV, was they were clothed, and they got more respect than the women who show everything get these days. I feel like the injections and the BBLs and all the surgery is definitely a self-esteem issue. And if we actually focused and invested that money that we invest in the cosmetics into ourselves and in finding our peace and our joy, then all of those things wouldn't matter, because our confidence would radiate, not our breasts, not our butt. I feel like I've become comfortable in my skin and with my body. So sometimes when I go out in public, I'm not always walking around with a bra on, because my breasts are big, they're heavy, it's hot. I don't feel like being bothered and having them sticking up to my chin. So I might not wear a bra, but I'm not going to wear a shirt that's see-through so everybody can see what I have going on. I'll have a regular t-shirt on, and I probably have a jacket to cover it up because I don't want you to see what I have. But we have women who are out here and they're saying, you know what? I love my breasts. Don't you want to see them? Look, look, look. And I feel like that's offensive, because I'm great you have your body positivity, but there's children that are still out here. So I'm great that you are so comfortable and you love your body, but it doesn't have to be for the world to see it, because the world doesn't love it. You love it. You get what I'm saying? I feel like men treat women the way we're treated because we allow them to. We talk down on men because we feel like they're supposed to be this superior and the provider and the leader, and they're masculine, and they're supposed to have a good, strong, sane head on their shoulders. But they're looking at their women, they're looking at their rib, they're looking at their spouse, they're looking at their counterpart, and they're saying like, okay, so this is what we're doing. We're not doing the courting. We're not going out for dinner. We're not going for walks in the park. We're not taking vacations or trips with our spouse. We're out here throwing money, or we're sending stars to people who are on here showing their breasts. That's what it's become. It's become about sex. And the more sex that's being put out there, people are saying, let me jump on the bandwagon. They might not be what they stand for, but because everybody is saying sex is selling and drug is selling and people want to do more than survive life, they feel like they have to get on the bandwagon. There was a lady when I first started making jewelry, and I admired her so much. I offered to pay her. I begged her. I loved her work so much. I felt like she was like a god in her area, right? Not really, but just saying that's how high I held her on a pedestal. This was years ago. And I decided one day to check on and see, what kind of new pieces she's making, where she at in her career. And she's resulted to telling sex stories while she's making her jewelry. And I thought that was kind of interesting, because I've never seen that, but it's actually like a narrative of a porno going on while she's putting beads on a string. Or she might lay on her couch and she'll have like all her jewelry on her body and she's half naked. And I'm thinking like, this is what we're resulting to. This is what women are degrading themselves to. We're doing this to ourselves, and then having the nerve to point the finger at somebody else and say, how dare you treat me like this? You don't want him to call you this. Why are you acting like that? If you feel like you're not acting like that, then why is Tom, Dick, and Harry at your front door? You know what I'm saying? Why are you posting it? Because of course it's not just being stuff done in private and secrecy, and that's something we had before technology. So in them 80s and them 90s, them 70s, yeah, they was lit, but nobody was recording it to post it and embarrass somebody. Nobody was recording it to post it and make money off of somebody else's mistake or somebody else's oops or somebody else's, I don't know how this happened, but it happened. And that's what we're doing. We're degrading one another. Women are degrading women. Black people are degrading Black people. Black men are degrading Black men. Black children are degrading Black children. And then we have the nerve to point our finger at somebody else and say, stop doing this to me. but it's okay when our people do it to each other. And that's really what we have to get to the bottom part of, because we can be up here and say that I want our Black men and our Black women and our Black children to be treated like this. But if we're not treating them like this, why do we expect somebody else to? Why do we expect another culture to respect us when we don't respect ourselves?
Oh,
well said. Well said.
I know, and that's, yeah, ain't nothing else to be added on that. I definitely agree. What do you guys think about? Okay, let's go back. So, little background. So we saw Taraji P. Henson on all of these platforms talking about the wage gap. We saw Cat Williams go on and kind of support her in the sense of saying that Black people need to stand with Black people, and why does it become such a huge topic on if she's telling the truth and all these different things. And as of last night, Monique is also, again, back in the spotlight talking about the same thing. Now, I guess I'll start with, on top of her, right? We also saw Jonathan Majors and things that he's going through now. I think when it comes to Taraji P. Henson, I'm torn. I'm torn because I see this story coming out for her more so when she's promoting a movie. I think that personally, I think it's done very tasteless. I don't think it was classless. I think it's very classless. I don't think it was the time to do that on someone else's platform that is supposed to be tied to a movie on our struggle. I think that with Jonathan Majors, I think we need to take away the desire to stand by Black people all the time. I think that with Cat Williams, I appreciate his ability to stand on his own truth and use that platform to say that. But I think with those three different stories, yes, it is important for us to stand with each other. Yes, it is important for us to show that we are a united front and actually mean it. However, I think that we all have a responsibility to hold each other accountable. So like you said, Simone, it's not always about, yes, it's Black, so go support it. Jonathan Majors is great, but if he's out here beating women, why? Right. Why? I love Taraji P. Henson, but let's just be real. Her platform, her things that she's done, she's not putting herself in a position to be great. She's not an Angela Bassett. She's not a Viola Davis. She's great. I do think that maybe she should get paid more. Cool. But again, one, that's not my business. Your financial issues has nothing to do with me. But I do think that we also have a responsibility to make sure that we're providing each other with opportunities. So something that keeps coming up, Tyler Perry didn't give her an opportunity. That's not true. She has plenty of opportunities, but when you're putting your finances into something like $1 million house, you cannot complain about not having enough money to take care of yourself at that point. You're talking about her son's tuition. I looked it up. Your child is 30 years old. That ain't your problem. That's not your problem anymore. So again, it goes into something that we said. We're supporting these stories. We're spewing them out the mouth saying, oh, well, this is an issue. This is an issue. Cancel that person. Stop dealing with this person. This culture needs to be here. When in reality, we don't have the background information. We are just running with it because we're trying to stand together, or we're so against each other that now that person that actually had a storyline or needs that momentum, we've taken it away because we've just basically said they're lying. It's so many things that go into the accountability aspect, in my opinion, that it's more than just black and white. It's more than just, oh, stand with us or don't. It's more than just, oh, you need to be there for our Black sisters or you don't. It is so many things that we have to deconstruct within our culture that it's not just a one conversation and done. So I guess my question is, what do you think? Do you think that it is something that all of them have a right to stand on? Do you think Taraji has a right to do this now? Out of her, 10, 15 plus years of doing this, do you think this is the right time? Do you think that she's the only one? Because we've also seen that come up with Jonathan Majors. Are we supporting everything Black? Do we think that we need to kind of take a step back and now have standards because we don't have to do that anymore? What, I guess, are your thoughts surrounding all of this?
Well, I'll get this one, Simone. It's not necessarily, okay, so let me back up. I am guilty of, if it's a Black movie that I like, I will make an effort to go see it because it's by Black creators or Black actors. I'm guilty of that. That's something I'm not going to change. As far as this, I know my strengths and my weaknesses. As far as the people that you talked about, Jonathan Majors, for example. Do I think he's innocent because he's Black? Absolutely not. I think that from the videos that I saw, and again, I wasn't in the court, I don't think he should have been found guilty. And I'll tell you why. Because, and again, I'm only going off of the ones I saw. There may be ones I didn't see, but at some point, him and the girlfriend obviously were arguing. And he was trying, I don't know if he was pushing her back into the car or he was trying to get her into the car. He starts to walk away. She comes after him. At that point, he's trying to leave. Now, is that a Black or white issue? No, it's not. But to find him guilty because he's a man, I think is a problem. And I think a lot of Black men have that problem. That's where I think the color part comes in. And because now he was found guilty, I personally don't think he should have been found guilty. I think they're trying to send a message. Now, 2 other of his exes coming out saying, well, he did the same thing to me. Yep. Okay, come on. I think that they are using him, a Black man, to make a point. Yeah. Was it smart? I don't know, because what else could he have done? He didn't hit well, from what I saw, he didn't hit her. He could have beat her up. Yeah, I probably would have hit her. But I'm trying to get away from you. You keep coming at me. Yeah. And that's not the right answer. So again, that's not a Black or white issue. That's an issue with her decisions that she made. She should have got in the car or decided, he leaving, he must not want me. Let me find something else. And then went down that path. Yeah. That's how I feel about that. With Taraji, I think her point could be valid. And I only say that because I see that in the field that I'm in. I think it's an issue across many boards. Like you said, the timing. Should she have done that at that point? I don't know what else she was going through before that. So, like, there's sometimes I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna try to hold on. If something happened, I'm not holding on anymore. Everything is coming out from last week to last year. You're gonna get all of it. Yeah. So I don't know. I think they may have valid points. It's about choice, how you choose to air them. If you choose to sit on them, some people sit on stuff that maybe they should talk about, and then they bring it up, like you said, at the wrong time or an inappropriate time. So I don't know what her pay is. That ain't my business. But if she feels that way, like, to me, if there's some validity in what you're saying, go for it. If it's not, it's gonna get shut down. Because to me, like the Cat Williams thing, obviously it was some validity in what he was saying because stuff was coming up. Now maybe he didn't have to say it that way, but if that's your choice in saying it, a hit dog is gonna holler, because all of them said something after that. And I saw the video with Wanda. To me, she was dead wrong. So their reality. If it's not true, then the other people have the capability of rebutting it and saying this is not correct. If they don't do that, maybe there's some truth to it.
That is true. And I definitely think about that too, with just speaking on more so the supporting anything Black. So there's a show, Mom likes to make fun of me. And it's on Netflix. It's Family Business. The acting is trash. It's so terrible. It's terrible. And I wouldn't say that I'm supporting it because it's Black. I'm supporting it because I like a good storyline that just happens to be an all Black cast. But it, again, is terrible. The acting is terrible. But I think when I think about holding them accountable, if you have, obviously it's not too bad because they got 6 seasons. So, but I think when it comes to holding accountable, it comes down to, when is someone going to step in and say, okay, you have been given the platform to keep going. You're on 6 seasons. Let's try and learn something. Let's learn how to have a crying scene. Let's learn how to have a normal, basic interaction on screen with another actor. That just says how bad it is. So it's like, yes, again, going into the slave mentality, at some point we had no choice. We were going to get on screen any way, shape, or form to show our skills. Now we're at a point, not only do we have people that are winning major awards for their work, we also have the ability to put other Black people on. We can write our own stories, and we're not doing that because we're still in the sense of, let me just do whatever because I know the Black community is going to support it. I think at some point, even with Taraji, I know of a couple other actresses that have talked about their pay, wages, and things of that nature. But I think it loses its momentum when it becomes a trend, when it's put out there to kind of gain clout or momentum. Like you said, I know I'm bad for it too. If I'm holding it in for so long and someone says the wrong thing or they step on my foot, it's over. Everything, I could have just been Peachy King that morning, but that just was putting me over. However, I think something that I've seen specifically with Taraji, it's like an act. The same.
I'm sorry. But when does it stop becoming a trend and it's the truth? So if I keep saying it and it's wrong, it could be a trend. But if I keep saying it because nobody's hearing me, and I don't know if there's truth to it or not because I'm not in her money. Right. But if I keep saying it, my stomach is hurting. Oh, my stomach hurt. Every day I say my stomach is hurting. Nobody's listening. And after a while, you might be like, that girl's stomach don't hurt. But it could hurt. Y'all just didn't take me to the doctor.
And I think, okay, so to tie it in with Monique, right? So when Monique did it, everybody thought she was doing too much, right? The one thing I will say about Monique, and I just saw her when she did it on Club Shay Shay, her story has not changed at all. She's not doing it while she's on some movie tour. She's not doing it. She lost everything and it showed. She's doing every chance she gets. Like, it has not changed. I'm tired of hearing the story. That's how much it has not changed. But the one thing
between them is Taraji, okay, Monique is saying, this is my truth. I'm standing on it. I'm willing to lose stuff because this is my truth. Taraji may be saying, this is my truth, but I got to pay these bills.
So that is a good point.
I'm going to go to work. Even though y'all not paying me what I need, I'm going to make this money. But is one more right than the other or one more wrong than the other?
And that is a good point because that's exactly where I was about to go. I think as a consumer of trying to figure out, am I going to have sympathy for you in your story when I see you? I don't want to hear of how you're struggling as someone that's middle class or barely middle class, how you're struggling and you're posting these $1,000 photo shoots. I don't care. I can't relate. I love seeing Monique and talk about her story and her hair look like mine. I'm good with that. And that's just being truthful. That is being completely honest and open about the situation. I can accept that you really are going through something and that it needs to be awareness to Black women in this industry losing money when you look like me, because you're taking that sacrifice and you're letting me know it's real. I can't take you seriously when you want a red carpet. I'm sorry, purple carpet. I can't take your fur costs as much as my house. I can't relate. It takes away. Even Gabrielle Union, when she was talking about it when the trend came, you're frolicking in your field. I can't take you seriously with your beautiful little infinity pool behind you. We can't relate. And it takes away the importance of it, because again, if you really need the money, yes, you would be working, but what are you spending it on? What is your priorities now? And I think that as a normal basic person that she is actually speaking to, we can't relate to you because we're looking like you're spoiled. And I wish I had the ability to frolic in my field as I talk about not making $1 million for a movie. I wish I could talk about that. But I think that it's definitely, I don't know if she's coming back. Sorry. I don't know if it's...
Oh, Simone died?
Her phone died.
Oh.
Her phone died. I think she's coming back in.
You know what I'll say to that point, and it's not about Black history, it's not even about them people, but like I think about my niece, your sister. Right. So as a parent, you don't want your child to see the day-to-day struggles. Like bills is paid, you may not see that I didn't eat what I wanted to eat because I had to pay this bill. To me, that gives a false sense of reality. So because you don't see me struggle, that don't mean I don't have struggles. That just means I can cover it up really well. So, and again, I hate talking about people I don't really know, but like maybe she's robbing Peter to pay Paul just to make it look good. I don't know. I don't think it's that I can't relate. I'm not gonna say I don't care. But it's more so that's not my battle. That is not my battle. So if you're that concerned about your pay, what's your plan B? Because if my job didn't pay me what I thought I was worth, I'll be looking for another job.
Yeah.
Now, would I still be living like I'm living? Absolutely, because I have to maintain what I have. But there's got to be a plan B. What's your plan B if you don't think that you're getting what you deserve?
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. I think something that somebody have pointed out, and again, it goes to being outside in. We don't know the real details of it, but someone had mentioned how your team negotiates your contract. So you're not getting paid. Again, that falls on you. That has nothing to do with the people you're surrounded by. So it's like, okay, knowing that, again, show me why I should care. Put me in a position to want to really support it. Okay, so if your plan B needs to be, I need to reassess my team, then do that. Spend that time reassessing your team to where this is now no longer a conversation. Because you had Vivica A. Fox talking about how she's good. Vivica ain't been in nothing quality in a while. And for her to say she's good, it's not, I feel like it goes back to, we shouldn't be bashing each other in order to make our story seem more sad. Absolutely. And, it's like, okay, yeah, you may not have the people you need around you, but who does? Tyler Perry, Oprah, the people you sitting here doing all this with on their platforms, they can put you in contact with somebody great, but you need to open yourself up to your community as well as not making it seem like we're just, out to get every Black woman. That's not the case. I think it's, oh my goodness. As a Black woman, what are some obstacles you have faced in America?
One main obstacle that I face deals with relationships. And again, when I was growing up, it was I had a single mother. Well, I had a mother and a father, but my mother was raising two girls. So what I saw was a strong woman making it happen. Again, you don't see the struggles, but I'm sure there were. So that's what I grew up on. Now, as an adult, I know that there should be a husband, a wife that make a team. But my reality is there's a mother and some kids. So when I date a lot of Black men, and I've only dated Black men, not by choice, but that's just what it is. They always say you're so independent. There's a song exes told me, it was with T-Pain and Kalani. I think I said her name. Where she don't need a man. I'm not saying I don't need a man. What I'm saying is my circumstance is just me. Yeah. So I have to be strong. I have to be independent because there's no other option. The problem with that with Black men is I come off as too independent. I come off as unapproachable. I've been told that times, and I don't think I'm unapproachable. But my struggle is, how do I be independent because I have to be independent, but come off as I can be dependent with the right person? It's not a light switch. Yeah. Ooh. Which want me to see me and my kids struggling, they don't have no food, and I come to your house to eat? Or you want to see me doing it and just know that with the right person, we can bond to one team that is exceptional and be doing it even better. But a lot of Black men, and again, I only say Black men because I only date Black men, they say you're too independent. Men don't want a woman that doesn't need them. I may not need you for finances. Right. But I need you for other things. So let's work on that. And I can't get past that with my brothers.
There was an interview that Jill Scott did on The Breakfast Club. She said, if you can't tell me what to do, you can't tell me what to do. But if you can tell me what to do, you can tell me what to do.
I know that. Let me write that down. That's what
I say. I'm going to send you the clip because when she said it, it was understood. You knew exactly. And every man in that room was just Yep. You know, and it's just that simple. Jill Scott doesn't need anybody. She is perfectly fine on her own. But what she said was,
financially.
right, if you are incapable of leading or being the man, do not look at me crazy when I do not stand down. And we talked about that in Chanel's femininity workshop.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. And I run into the same thing with Black men. And that's something me and Tony have talked about too with his Black friends. He said the same thing. They don't date Black women, especially darker Black women, because they come off too aggressive, they're too independent, they're too opinionated, or
So what does that mean? What does that mean? I'm too independent. I'm too opinionated. So when you ask me, and one thing I have posed back to Black men, do you want to have a conversation? Or do you want me just to say, okay, yep, whatever? No, I may have a different opinion than you. Can we talk about it without arguing? Absolutely.
Nope. Nope.
But if you don't have any substance to bring to this conversation, then it's going to be a different type of conversation for you.
Yep. And I agree. And it's funny because even something that was brought up in that conversation was just how Black men want to be treated as someone's son. And I think it's interesting because I think about like my son. I don't want to raise him to the point where when he goes out in the world or he meets someone that they need to be reflective of me. He doesn't need another mom. I got that. You know, he doesn't need his wife or girlfriend or partner to treat him like a child. And I think that a lot of Black men now expect the person that they're engaging with to act like that. When in reality, Black women are not wired that way. If I am with someone, I need you to pick up something. I need you to take the slack off. Not, I need to take care of you and my other responsibilities. So when they get with us, they're like, oh, you are always saying something, or you're nagging, or you're so aggressive. Well, yeah, because I'm tired of talking to you about your dirty socks on my floor. I don't get it. You know, and I get to that point where you can't put that on me. Right. I don't wake up or walk up to you or find interest in you to do this. No one, it's so exhausting. I don't want to have to pick what's for dinner every night because you are so indecisive. I don't want to have to tell you what bills are due. I want you to be a man at some point and take some initiative. Mm-hmm. And if that doesn't attract you, then somebody else is going to be great because I have my role. But I think that Black men in particular are so used to being targeted in this nation that as Black mothers, we feel the need to fill the void and cater to them and give them so much. So when they go and find someone else, they expect the same treatment when Black women are here to support in the sense of, I know what you're going through, so we're going to do this together, and not, oh, woe is me, poor husband, poor partner, you're just going through the worst. I'm sorry, you're not going to get that. That's just not what it is. But that's my 2 cents on that. I think that y'all better get this together. I had somebody tell me that he didn't date dark-skinned women. I was like, boy, I'm sorry. I was like,
I don't get what the complexion has to do with the attitude, because I'm light-skinned and I'm very spicy.
I don't light-skinned women that got the twins.
That's what I don't get. What does the dark complexion have to do with?
I don't know. It always threw me off. Yeah, and I was like, if that's a preference, that's one thing. But it never seems to be just a preference. It seems to be some, like I said with the test, some conditioning that one complexion or even one type of person is going to be easier or harder than the next, when in reality, it just depends on how you were raised. Because it's just, it can be a luck of the draw, but yeah, that was, I've come across that a couple times. I'm just like, man, y'all have fun with that. Let me know how that goes.
And then they'll probably end up marrying a dark-skinned woman. Be like, but she was different, right? Because all people are different. It has nothing to do with their complexion.
Oh my gravy. Wow. But it looks like we lost Simone. I will probably, yeah, her phone is dead, so we will finish it out here. I am so appreciative. This actually went really well. I'm super excited for next. This is so fun. Oh, I appreciate you, Auntie. This was our first awareness panel. I'm super excited. That was really dope. and I look forward to more. I will definitely send you the information for the women's panel next month, because I think it'll be dope to have more perspectives. I think that was important to have different people on here instead of just my experiences, because everyone has something different.
Yeah,
But
no, I definitely agree with that. And I look forward to next month.
yes. But yes, guys, this was our panel. Like I said, next month we have another one, so I'll be doing more promotion with that starting next week. But as always, make sure you subscribe, turn on your notifications, like, share, comment, and come back for on Saturday, y'all, because we have another video coming up. But this is just Jaysa. I am Jaysa, and I look forward to our next video. Bye.